Okay.
Okay, I'm going to call this meeting of the ECS Board of Trustees to order. Thank you all for being here. We're going to start with a roll call, so I'll just say who I've seen from the board here. So online, I think we have David, Jen, and Kristen. Yeah, okay. And then Megan, Matthew, Rohit, and myself. And did I miss any board members? I don't think I did. Okay, so we do have a quorum. So we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The mission of ECS is to educate each student to high academic standards using innovative curricula that will foster knowledge, love of, and respect for the environment and preserve it for future generations to grow citizens. Our vision, every ECS graduate will be an actively engaged citizen driving thoughtful change in the world around them. Okay, we have several guests to recognize here. I think I'm actually, this is most of our guest table, I think, so ask you guys to just maybe go around and just introduce yourselves.
Sure. I'm Megan Leach, prospective board member.
Nick Ankovic, also a prospective board member.
Madeline Sita, also a prospective board member. Sophie Mackey, I'm a parent of a second grader. Lou Alexa, I sit on the ECS PCO, and my two kids that go to ECS.
Okay, and are we?
Anyone else here?
Yeah, you guys can introduce it.
Sophie McCall, I'm the director of communications.
Kristen Automated House Parent Engagement. Christina, I'm the director of enrollment.
Nicole Schaefer, consultant to the ECS Foundation.
I'm Amber, I'm the representative for high school and 10th grade English and Central teacher.
Okay, and we're going to have Wake Up ECS coming in as guests. Are you ready for that? Or?
We're waiting for our very important cameraman to come. He was not here today.
Okay, so we will circle back to that in our agenda.
I'm going to say. And we got to see
All right, Vicki, just give me like the secret symbol when you're ready for that. Okay, let's Tanya. Do we have anyone signed up for public comment? No. Okay. All right, we're gonna move into our consent agenda then. Are there any points of discussion from the consent agenda? And anything, if you got board members on the Zoom, if you have anything, just feel free to unmute yourselves. Okay, well, seeing none, I will read resolution 2023-12-2107, be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of the school that the consent agenda for December 20th, 2023 be approved. Second. All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. And we will move into board education. Who wants to take it away?
Sure, I could introduce the team, but ultimately we're going to have a conversation about enrollment, the process of enrollment, the whole architecture here in school, and I'll let the team take it away.
As soon as I find the cafe out there.
Would you be willing to come over here so
Oh, yeah,
that
sure.
the microphone can pick you up?
Yeah, we'll come over here. This is the engagement team. I give
We're all together as an enrollment engagement team here.
Like,
You guys want-
Oh, the mic's right there.
There we are.
Okay, is that better?
A lot better, thank you.
Okay, yeah, no problem. So my name is Christine Adams. I'm the Director of Enrollment here at ECS. And just to give you a little bit of background, I remember when I first interviewed for this job, I have a background in education and a background, I did some work at CMU as a reader in the admissions office. So I had a good K through 12 and even beyond that experience. So I have my Master's of Education in School Counseling from Pitt, and I have an MA in Math Education. So I was a teacher and a school counselor. For over 20 years, I've been in public education. I was a high school counselor for 11 years in Western Pennsylvania. I was middle school and alternative education counselor in Alabama for 2 years, and then we moved back here. And I did some long-term subs and worked at Carnegie Mellon for a while. And I've been involved with the Allegheny County School Counselors Association. So when this enrollment job came up, it was really a smooth fit that I know the background in education, and I know the tours and recruitment aspect when I went to CMU. So this was a great position for me. I love it. I love working here at ECS. And I love everything in enrollment. And I do want to talk about my team. I have Kristen and Dina here today because enrollment doesn't exist without everyone's help. And that is from academic team to everyone plays a part. You even play a part in enrollment. So everyone here plays a part in recruitment of students. And so I'll let them introduce themselves.
I'm Dina Caliper. I'm the Director of Communications here at ECS. And I like to call our department an integrated marketing communication department, not just a communication department. And primarily because we use a lot of tactics from internal and external PR to internal and external marketing, and all of those tactics kind of weave together to form integrated marketing communications. So at the organization, I provide brand-aligned communication support and consultation. So organization-wide, I handle all the communications that go out the door, from all the way up to, Mandy and John to our principals at a principal level, even a little bit of classroom space. So I also do our emergency and crisis communications. And our internal and external community relations in partnership with Kristen, who's going to be talking to you guys in just a little bit. I handle all of our media relations, new hire marketing and employee relations as well. And I work closely with the foundation and you as a board to provide communications as well from a collaboration. I maintain the ECS website. I create and schedule all of our social media content, and I do our design, our photography, our videography. That all comes out of my department as well. And then the reason we're here today talking to you guys, I help Christine with enrollment marketing, advertising, and tracking.
Again, I'm Kristen Aveshouse, and just a little background about me. I was one of the parents that sat in the living room back in 2006 and said, hey, that building that they're about to turn into condos, wouldn't it be great if it's a school? So I've been involved from that first conversation. I like to tease Mr. McCann that I was employee number one, not him. And I was there the day the original board brought John in to grant him his official role and celebrate with some champagne after. I also have two children that have come through the ECS school system, so I understand it from a founder, from a parent perspective, and also an employee perspective. My role for many years here, I managed the extended day program, or after school, and it was a really unique experience because I was a conduit between the parent and the school, because I saw those parents and kiddos every day after day, month after month, year after year. And it really laid the way for me to transition into the role I have now, which is parent engagement and community partnership. So that's a little bit about me, and my work really spans many facets in our organization. Of course, events, because that's a way of engaging with our families, and we cultivate relationships. I advocate for parents. I worked really closely with the PCO last year in a lot of meetings to just rethink and how do we move forward after the pandemic. Program development and volunteer management, even into bringing the Raptor system in so we could give a portal to our parents and community members to upload their clearances, and we could do that in an automated system. So, but mostly I partner with Christine and Dina, and we're working often and constantly collaborating about retention and recruitment efforts, K-12.
So we'll just give you a little bit of enrollment history at ECS. So Kristen helped me with before the time that I was here. So you can see in 2008, 2009, we were a one school building on Milton Street. We had 3 classes per grade, and they started with just a K-3 school, 22 kids per class. And you can see the total enrollment numbers there. And then we added a grade each year. And then in 2012, 2013, we opened the Park Place building, and that's where our primary school is right now. That became a K-3 building. We had 2 kindergarten and 3 first through third grades. Milton Avenue then became a 4 through 7 school. During that year, we started the co-teaching model, and we increased the class size to 24 since we had the co-teaching model. 2013 and 14, we added 8th grade. So we had our first graduating 8th grade class in the 2013-2014. And then Park Place became K-3, Milton became 4 through 8, and we had 24 kids per grade. And then I started in 2016, so my first school year was the 2017-18 school year. We had 25 students per class, so we add an additional student. We had 2 kindergarten classrooms and 3 first through 8. And then in the 2018-19, we had 26 students per class. The same type of situation, 2 kindergartens, 3 classrooms of first through 8th. And then 2019-2020 was our expansion year. So little did we know that March of 2020 was going to happen. And during that expansion year, when we added 234 students, that we were going to have the pandemic. And even though it was the pandemic, we added 9th grade, and that was in the middle school. That was our 6th through 9th. And then you can see now we're 4 buildings throughout the school. So we have our first graduating class this current school year, the 23-24 school year. So that just gives you a little bit about enrollment and how much we've increased over the years. And we're just going to talk today about enrollment strategies for ECS. And so we're going to touch base on why ECS, community engagement, our marketing strategies, how we get prospective families and current families to find out about ECS. How do they get to know ECS? We're going to, our department is very data-driven decision-making. So we look at enrollment trends. We understand targeted specific areas of outreach. We regularly evaluate the effectiveness of our strategies, and we try to improve them throughout the years that we've been here. And we have inclusive enrollment practices. We want to ensure our enrollment process is transparent, straightforward, and accessible to all people in Pennsylvania. So when we think about school choice, we are one of the many school choices in Western Pennsylvania in the city of Pittsburgh. And so what does set ECS apart from the other schools? So lots of times when parents come in, they ask us, what makes you different? And so some of the things that make us different is that we do have out-the-door education. We do focus on the environment, but we also focus on the social environment. So social emotional learning is very important to us. And so we really concentrate on social emotional learning. Our support systems at each of our school really focus in on that social emotional learning. So we have a school counselor, a social worker, a school nurse, a principal, and an assistant principal at each of our buildings. So our buildings are about 300 kids, so we have all those supports for those 300 kids. So not a lot of schools have nurses in each building or counselors in each building. We have a ton of elective options from when they are in kindergarten through 5th grade, and then 6th through 8th, and then also in the high school. We have small class sizes in 6th through 12. This school is, our school system is very dedicated to equity and diversity. We're dedicated to eco-literacy, sustainability focused. We have extracurricular activities. We just, we've recently hired a athletic director. So athletic director is really incorporating sports into all of our buildings. And so that's very exciting. And now we are totally a K through 12 experience. So if you look at some of the Pittsburgh public schools, you're always looking for the next school. Your school might go up to 5th grade. You're looking for where I'm going to go to middle school. You're looking for where you go to high school. So we are now a K through 12 experience. So some of the alternative options in the area, which is sometimes where we lose our kids and sometimes where our kids could come from, are mostly located kind of in the East End. So we have Kappa, that's a 6 through 12 school, SciTech, Alderdice, Dilworth, Montessori are our magnet options, Colfax, and of course, private and cyber schools.
So is ECS the only K through 12 option that's charter or public?
No, Propel has a K through 12, but you have to go to like Propel Braddock, and then, Propel Braddock is the one that goes K through 12, but most of them you have to switch.
You also switch things.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way that's positive right there.
Right, yeah, that you can come and finish your 12th grade. So, we've really, through the tours and stuff, people are asking about the high school. So they're really looking at that K through 12 experience. And so the enrollment goals for last year and for this year, we do recruitment. So we want to increase recruitment, especially in the middle school and high school. Market to some of our out-of-district families from middle and high school, and we'll show you the comparables to in-district and out-of-district. Retention, of course, we want kids to stay here. We want kids to come in kindergarten and stay till 12th grade. So we really want to try to preserve those students that are enrolled here. And we want to ensure that students are aware of the changes that happened to the middle school programming this past year. So we have a new environmental citizenship program. And so we want to make sure that we get all that information out to our current 5th and 4th grade families. Transition, we do have some transitions in our buildings. We have 4 separate buildings, so kids are transitioning every 3 years. We want to make that as smooth as possible. So we do transitional activities for kids from 2nd to 3rd grade, from 5th to 6th, and then 8th to 9th. And then we want to make sure that we onboard all new families. So we want to make sure we orient 100% of new and transitioning students to understand the expectations and also the ECS pedagogy. And so here are some of our current our understanding the target audience. So when we think about ECS and enrollment, I mean, we are a charter school that's located in the East End of Pittsburgh. We are, according to charter school law, we must give preference to students that live within the Pittsburgh Public School Zone. So we're going to have more Pittsburgh Public School Zone kids than we do out-of-district students. Our mission of ECS is we're dedicated to educating at-risk students. And when we did our lottery policy in 2017, PPS, we wanted to broaden our economic diversity. And so we worked together with PPS to say that at-risk students were defined as qualifying for the free and reduced lunch program. That is a question on the application. And if you do qualify, you do get 2 tickets. You get a weight in the lottery. So you get 2 tickets in the lottery instead of 1. There are some schools of choice. There's 12 brick and mortar charter schools that are located in the city of Pittsburgh. And then the Pittsburgh Public Schools Magnet Program, there are 20 Pittsburgh Public School Magnet Programs, and that gives you the breakdown. And we also have to think about transportation. So when we think about enrollment, we have to think about transportation. So Pittsburgh Public Schools will transport students up until 8th grade. And then the high school, they have to get a bus pass. Districts like Wilkinsburg does not provide transportation. They just give kids bus passes. Woodland Hills will bus kids up to 8th grade, and then they give. So some of that is can be a hardship for families on how to get their kids to school. And so here is a map of all our applications from last year. The purple part or blue part, it looks blue on mine, but it looks purple on there, is where all the applications came from. So you can see that most of the applications are in the east end of Pittsburgh, really close to where our schools are. Our two schools, the primary and the intermediate, are really close to Woodland Hills and Wilkinsburg. So you can see how many people we get that are right on that border of those districts. And then here are the applications we get according to zip codes. So you can see that 15206, which is here, and 15221 are highest, followed by 15235, which is, or 15217, 15218, and then 15235, which is Penn Hills. So you can look at that. And then as you can see from applications per district, we get people from all over Allegheny County, Butler County. We have people from Mars that apply. So we have applications from all over the Allegheny County, but you can see that our most is from Pittsburgh Public School, followed by Woodland Hills, Penn Hills, and then Wilkinsburg. And Wilkinsburg is kind of smaller, so just to give you an idea. When we look at in-district versus out-of-district for the 23-24 school year, that kind of gives you the percentages of kids that are coming from PPS and coming from out-of-district. And then when you look at our total population on the right-hand side, you can see that in the primary school, we're around 90% of PPS students. At the intermediate school, we're around 85% for the last 3 years. The middle school is in the mid-70s, high 70s, and then our high school, we did have 63%, 63%, and then this year we jumped up to 70% of PPS students in the high school. And when we look at in-district and out-of-district, we have to realize that tuition rates vary from school district to school district, and you can kind of see from the regular ed how much per pupil that we get for these students, and then compare the regular ed rates to the special ed rates. So that does factor into our budget. So we try to budget for a certain percentage of PPS students, a certain percent of out-of-district students, and then budget for that special education, how many percent of students are special ed. But that gives you just a little overview of what the tuition rates are.
Who sets those rates?
The school districts do. There's a form, correct?
It's a statutory one that's based on the primary budget. That's allocated on the number of students in the district.
So, and aside from PPS preference, we don't have preference outside of PPS. It's the same equal lottery or equal weight for everyone.
Correct. So we do have some preferences. The first preference is sibling preference. So anyone that's currently enrolled, and that goes in district and then out of district. So sometimes kids will get in, maybe in middle school, to have a younger sibling that will, put them up in the lottery. And then we have employee preference, and that goes in district, out of district. And then it's just in district and then out of district. So if you live in Mars or you live in Woodland Hills, you're just in one lottery. Okay. And I'll let Dina start talking about our marketing. Oh, I'm going to talk about this first. How did you hear about us? So this is a question that is on the application, and we really want to look at how did you hear from us. So in 22, 23, those were our things that you could pick. And then we changed it a little bit for 23, 24 based on our ideas of what we were currently doing with students and what kind of focus we were doing for recruitment. And so if you look at all of those, 24, 25 isn't over yet, so we will get more applications. But our number one recruitment tool has always been and continues to be referral. So whether that's word of mouth, family referral, ECS, staff referral, so that is always a big one. And then number two is our website. So more than ever, people are going onto websites to find out what a product is, what a school what the school has to offer. And so looking at the data, we went with Schoolmint Engage that did, Schoolmint is the product that we use for the lottery. We went with Schoolmint Engage. They created the enrollment website that we have that totally connects with our applications and also our tours and open houses and things like that. So we can track students, see how many people came to an event, see if they applied, where they are in the process. So we went to that this year to help us out with in recruitment. And then I'll let Dina talk about some of the marketing tactics that we used.
So I joined the ECS team in about 2019, and whenever I got to ECS, I really wanted to make sure that a lot of the advertising and marketing efforts that we were doing were trackable, and that we could look back at that to see, what our ROI was, and also base our budget off of that in the future, so that we knew what to invest more in. And so there's a couple of different marketing tactics that we use. Some of them are not trackable, and some of them are trackable. So for the not trackable tactics, the level of success is determined by how individuals answer the question in enrollment. How did you hear about ECS? And so this is a little bit of a difficult tracking method, because people oftentimes either forget how they heard about ECS, maybe they know of a couple different ways they heard about ECS, or there's always inaccuracy whenever you fill out a form or survey in general. But so those non-trackable efforts would be any bus ads with the PRT and radio ads with WESA, WAMO, or 100.7. And so to determine their success, we do have to go to that enrollment survey to see if people heard it on the radio or saw it on a bus ad. So we have the vast majority of our efforts are trackable. And so the level of success is determined by click-through rates, how many people are scanning QR codes, how many people are clicking on links and going through our website, sessions yielded on the ECS website. So examples of this would be an ad in a magazine or a newspaper, a postcard. So you're probably thinking those are both printed pieces. How are we tracking that? And we can pass these around so that everyone can see them. But on the back of, this is a postcard that we recently did. This was a targeted postcard specifically for our students entering 6th grade. But on the back of it, you'll see that there's a QR code. That QR code was generated using a unique URL that we created based off of our website. And then we put it in this QR code. And then once someone scans that, I can then go and see their projection for our website. So I can see how many people scanned it, and then I can see where they're going for our website and other things they might be interested in. And so outside of print advertising and marketing, we also have our social media ads, enrollment blurbs in our October, November, December, and January district-wide newsletters, the ECS website. And this year, we also have, as Christine mentioned, the enrollment website through Schoolment. That is new this year, and also new this year is our niche partnership. But all of those materials are online, they are digital and easily trackable.
How did you determine the 3 radio stations selected?
So WAMO is East End based, so it made sense for WAMO. 100.7 and 100.7 and WESA are under the Odyssey. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Odyssey. Odyssey is the parent company that owns a lot of radio stations nationwide. They're under that, and oftentimes they get bundled. But 100.7 tends, whenever they come to us and say, would you like to advertise with us, they usually give us a layout of their demographics, and we compare to see if it aligns with what we're seeing in our trends.
Got it, thank you.
So this is kind of a layout of the medium and sources of our external marketing tactics. And when I say external marketing, I'm saying anything for enrollment and recruitment marketing. These tactics do not include internal marketing. And internal marketing is our retention efforts. So you can see up here that the vast majority of our tactics are through social media or print. Email is actually lower because email is more of an internal retention space than an external. Our source, you can see that there's a number of different sources, so that ranges anywhere between LinkedIn, Facebook, Carnegie Magazine, direct mail, and so this is where our people are coming from. And so we can go into this data and see, okay, so maybe our ad in the Carnegie Magazine performed really well based off of how many people scanned that code. We're going to do it again next year. Social media advertisement always is our highest trackable marketing tactic. So that's kind of the pie chart of where our people are coming from based on the enrollment tactics that we created. So and this is for last school year, since this school year's efforts aren't completed yet, we don't have this information. But so for last year, we had 21 trackable marketing campaigns. They yielded 851 website users, 627 of which were new users, and that yielded 1,195 website sessions. And so this also does not include user-generated content through untrackable metrics. So it's not going to say, how many people got to us because of word of mouth, or how many people came to us because of, bus ads.
Do you know what that translates a user as to an eventual applicant versus an actual student?
So I can look through the website and I can see where they go to. Unfortunately, because Schoolmint is an external website, once they click on that, they leave our website. But I can see click rates. And once again, this year it's going to be a little bit different because we are using Schoolmint for the first time. And so we'll actually be able, all of our tracking isn't going to the ECS website, it's going to the enrollment website. And so we'll be able to actually see that this year.
So it seems like there's like a pretty big discrepancy in the click rate for the social media stuff versus people who said they were referred by social media. It was like 1% of the enrollment, it looks like, were based on social media. So like what accounts for that discrepancy? That like that's our highest area of engagement, but then it's not where people are coming from.
It's our highest engagement from a trackable perspective. And so we can't track how many people are coming from word of mouth via the website.
Okay.
And so I would say that, like I said, oftentimes there's user error. They might be filling out the form, and research shows that it takes 8 interactions before someone actually takes action. And they actually go in and click on something, or they're going to go and apply to ECS. So some people might say word of mouth, but maybe they also saw it on social media, and then they saw it on a bus ad, and then someone told them about it, and because someone told them about it, maybe that was their 8th interaction, and that's when they decided to take action.
And then do you, maybe this is not the right department, but do we ask some more questions to people who are applying here for jobs? What did you learn about the school?
I think so. We have to ask HR. I can get that.
That's a good question.
So based on all that data that we were able to collect last year, we are able to make decisions for this year, not only with our budget, but also with kind of our tactics for this year. And so based on the tracking data, it was decided that we eliminated certain efforts because it wasn't tracking very well. You can see that radio and radio advertising, and not on this list, but should be bus ads, were also eliminated this year. 1, because they're not trackable, and it makes it really hard to determine their success. But 2, when people answer that survey, they were not very happy on the way that they heard about us. That's also why we brought in Niche, because Niche helps us get those interactions through remarketing tactics. So also based...
I'm sorry, are you not concerned that some of that might be part of those 8 interactions though,
That's why we switched over to Niche this year.
Okay.
So Niche allows us to do that remarketing. So last year we were doing that remarketing by ourselves. So I was going through, okay, this is one interaction, this is another interaction, social media is an interaction, website's an interaction. Niche goes through a paid partnership with them, and they help us get those 8 interactions for us. And so they use a remarketing tactic similar to geocaching or feathering. And also based on the data, we decided that we should expand on our meta advertising, so that's Facebook and Instagram and Messenger, and also look into our direct mail pieces, which is what we have right here, and do targeted direct mail pieces.
Was our PRT advertising like the bus shelters, or was it the actual buses?
It was the tells of the buses.
You have to weigh the cost too, like how much we get. So, some of them are really expensive, and we're like, did that really pay off? So we could do a niche partnership that gives us more back than the back of a bus. So we have to look at that and really try to, because it was expensive.
So just to expand on that point that Christine brought up, whenever we eliminated the radio and bus, that paid for our entire niche partnership. And so that helps us by looking at that data, looking at the cost of that, those tactics, it helps us determine what we're going to do in the future and what might be more sustainable.
And then we're gonna have, Kristen talk about community engagement. Oops.
Wait, yeah.
I don't know what's happening.
Do you want to do your?
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm going to speak a little bit about our community engagement that helps with retention and also helps with recruitment. Some of our services that we provide here at ECS is we have after-school care for our students K through 5. And right now we're serving about 75 students across those buildings. We're also offering summer camp in partnership with YMCA. And last year and this year, we're offering sports camps that are led by our athletic director and our coaches. And that has been a great success. We also know the value of giving the whole child experience, and that when parents come and they tour our building, they want to make sure what happens outside of the school time too, that is going to build relationships and be interest driven. So we offer clubs, and we do that in 3 sessions. We do a fall and a winter and spring session. And on average, across our district, we're giving 20 to 25 choices. And in those sessions, we're averaging about 188 students taking advantage of our clubs, which has been a great success. And they vary from everything from Dungeons and Dragons to bicycling, cooking, because again, it's student-driven interest clubs. We also offer half-day adventures, and that has helped to fill that niche between we need care for our child, but we also want it to be student-driven interest. We partner with like Mad Science and Assemble, and they come in and it works with our littles in our K-5 buildings. And so on those half days, we have an extended club experience that allows the parents to finish their workday and the child to do something that's interesting to them.
Those are awesome.
Oh, thank you. We'll send that feedback to our team. Thank you. We are dedicated to expanding our sports programs, and this has been a wonderful success. Currently, we are offering at our middle school, and you can just read, we have boys and girls cross country, track and field, we have an emerging cheer and boys basketball team. Our boys just played last Friday, and many of our teachers and families were there cheering them on. Our high school has been fantastic with our boys basketball, track and field, cheer, and girl volleyball. And again, we're just very excited about the work that's happening there and the dedication of our coaches and our athletic director. And we do have our volleyball coach here. There she is. So very excited about the work they're all doing. And again, this is building community, and it is invaluable when it comes to retention and recruitment. We also have great success with our athletics and activity fair once a year. We're bringing a speaker series this year that's driven on what parents have been asking for. We're bringing in a speaker that will be talking about the digital age and social media and how it affects your children. We're doing another, Dr. Chase is coming in we'll be talking about ADHD. We are doing a sustainability fair this year.
And just to let you know, those speaker series are open to the community.
Yes,
so we're
thank
hoping
you.
that these speaker series are going to bring people that, not just ECS, but people from the community into our schools. And so that's
Correct.
important for our recruitment and retention.
And how are you guys advertising?
We haven't created the plan yet, but we're thinking about direct mailing. We're definitely going to do social media. You use often constant contact where we can do it. We can collect an RSVP. So we definitely want to lean into our community and start inviting the community to come in and learn about us. That has nothing to do with recruiting you to be part of our student body.
And we have, I think last year we had 700, 800 applicants that we can email through SchoolMint and get those people that are interested in our school, but also they can also come and reap the benefits of our speaker series.
And speaking of which, our summer camp that's run by the YMCA, we extend that invitation to all of our waitlist families because it is a summer camp that is open to both our students and our community. So it is a way for our community to take part of the special things that are happening in our school. That is,
It's exclusive or any youth in the community?
no, any youth it's open to any youth, but we like to make a special invitation to them
Oh,
so
okay.
they know they can come and take part of our summer camp. That's a really good question.
With the speaker series, we'll also most likely be doing press releases with some of our media contacts as well, and potentially social media advertising.
That's cool. It might be worth looking at some of the neighborhood organizations or, like houses of worship or just other community stakeholders who could easily circulate a lot of these things because they are such great community assets and maybe pursue some of those relationships you guys haven't done before to sort of drive things.
Yes, we'll definitely be also reaching out to partners and hopefully creating some kind of media kit so that they can easily advertise as well.
Sorry to interrupt, but today we were just discussing how we're trying to align the sustainability fair and like the speaker series with the Remake Learning Days. And so it'll be in May, and so Remake Learning Days does quite a bit of publicity as well. So then strategically thinking about other folks and partners that might be pushing out.
Right, with Dina's brilliance the other day, she said, let's check off as many boxes as we can. Let's make sure we're engaging with our community, our parents, our stakeholders, and look at an event and say, can it reach 2 or 3 goals in a single event? And some more internal things, we did a cyclebration last year, which we partnered with Bike Pittsburgh, and we did a small lesson plan to learn how to cycle as a family, and then we encouraged all our parents to attend Open Streets, which was a great fun for parents and families. Internally, again, we did a swim nights at Kingsley, which highlights our relationship with the Kingsley Association, and families came and had a wonderful night swimming together. And then we also attend, this will be our 3rd year, Dina, we'll be attending Earth Day celebration at Mellon Park, which is absolutely external facing. And we were always surprised how many people never heard about the environmental charter school. So it was a great way. We had our teachers there, and the children played while we had a very soft contact about who we are and what we do. And it's just a lovely way to lean into the community.
Have you guys looked at doing any sort of booths at mergers or when other organizations have the meeting of like community organizations, like having a booth that sort of talks about ECS?
We have done that before. And we get a mixed bag. So if it's not school related, we don't get much interaction. When we go to school related events, we get a huge amount of interaction. So we've done Garfield nights. We've done football games for the Garfield Gators. But the return on investment is not, people aren't going to Garfield nights to find out about ECS. But they're going to a school fair to find out about ECS. So we just want to be really strategic about what events that we go to. So, I mean, it's all a learning curve. So, I mean, John and I went to many events, didn't we? We have gone to many. Luckily, John has a minivan, so he could put the big tent in there for us. But some of our recruiting strategies, which, that was one of our recruiting strategies, so we did a lot. We do tours of each building. Parents really like to come in and see the school in action. We do showcases, so the middle school and high school have done showcases. We invite current families and prospective families in. I do virtual information sessions in K through 5, and we do attend recruiting events at different schools. So preschools will invite us to their recruiting events. Schools that end in 5th grade, so we go to the Urban Academy every year, and then schools that end in 8th grade. So we went to Manchester Academy this year, so we go to some of those other charter schools that end and looking for other options. For our future plans for recruiting, we're constantly getting feedback and tweeting our events to meet the needs of our family. And then next year, we really want to host an ECS school choice fair. So we would invite other school choice, private schools, magnet schools, things like that to come, and we're going to have it at the middle school. And so some of our retention events, plus the recruitment events overlap. So our middle and high school showcase tours. Current families come on a lot of the tours. So we've had fifth grade families come up and tour. The principal of like Mr. Tutelo went down to the fifth grade class to talk to them about middle school. So we like to do that with each of our buildings. We have move-up days to really help the transition. So second grade will go up to the intermediate school one day, intermediate school will go to middle school, etc. And then we have some marketing documents too that we use. And then we'll show you a little bit. You've already got some of those. Our onboarding events, like we said, we really like to show students about the school, and new families are anxious about getting in the building, getting into school and seeing the building. And so we really want to give them the opportunity to come to the school and find out about the school and different events that we have, and get used to the school building along with meet the teachers and things like that. We do have play events in August for our K through 5 students. We work with the PCO with that. And then we do cohorts of new students. So we're going to have a cohort of new students starting in January. So they'll all start at one time. That way we can do orientation programs with them instead of just having students start one week and not really making sure that they feel comfortable with the school. And then we'll just go, I know this is long, we'll just go through some of our recruiting events, but we do all of these recruitment and retention. So Dina, me, and Kristen work into making all of these available to our current families and to our prospective families, so they have an idea of what program of studies that we have, what we're doing in our schools. We do, like you saw some of the pamphlets, we do some advertising, all things like that, social media. And so these were some of the retention specific things that we did for fifth graders, that they could look at the different types of programming that we have at the middle school. And then we do some onboarding events, some onboarding examples too that we'll pass out and show here. And then just to start thinking about our enrollment in the future, we are going to have alumni. So we are going to have our first graduating class. So we do have a lot of alumni that ended in 8th grade. That doesn't make them, because they didn't graduate from here, they graduated from 8th grade. So we really need to start thinking about alumni and how they can contribute to the success of ECS. And then testimonies and reviews. We do not have a lot of testimonies and reviews, so we really need to get that ready. We have links. Schoolman helped us get some links ready. We are going to push that out. One of the things that Schoolman says is you're not going to buy a dishwasher or a washing machine without reading reviews. And so you need reviews on your website. So we need to start getting parents to give us reviews online. And then enrollment is not solely the responsibility of one group. We have parents, students, staff, community member, and collaborative events that really help with, sharing that responsibility. So if you see an ECS ad that comes up about applying, like it, because the more likes we get, the more it goes. So, share it, things like that. So anything can help us. And that's it.
This is great. Well, I want to thank you guys for that presentation. I think gives a very good historical perspective on the enrollment of the school and all of the work that you're doing, which is, as expected, very, very comprehensive and detail-oriented and impressive overall, as we can see through ongoing popular interest in the school. So we definitely appreciate that. I want to keep moving along through the agenda here, but if folks have questions for them, we are planning a deeper dive into the data with our data expert here next month. So we're going to look at some of the enrollment trends and things, hopefully at the next meeting. But thank you very much again.
Thank you.
It's very robust.
So I want to move to, we have a couple of policies to.
It's getting close to bedtime.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
I did not get a secret look, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what we're waiting for. Okay, sorry, we will go back to these. Yeah.
I know you all know me, I'm Vicky Shea. I don't want to do a lot of talking because I wanted to highlight our makeup ECS team, so they are ready for you. So, either way, so Ms. Linda Peters and our makeup team We are very extra as a team, so we started in 2019 because we realized in middle school we need to build some culture and identity in this new space. The Wake Up team brought some joy to the space, brought kind of storytelling, community through storytelling on that year. Jill Member, she is brilliant, she was a Richmond coordinator across K-12. So she is going to share a little bit about how the Wake Up ECS team supports our Richmond. And then, our most precious team here is going to share with you what they do.
So, thank you for share all of this with me today. Like Michelle said, Wake Up ECS is definitely the highlight of our week. I think that's okay whenever I say that. But it is joyful and it is fun, and we live for the bloopers, but it is also hard work. Like, it is tough. We have 40 minutes to churn out an episode. And so it is a space that is both fun and very challenging, and that's like the perfect combo, especially for me, right? So it is a student-driven project, and they apply their knowledge and skills on this weekly basis in practical and novel ways. So it's that true application of skills, whether they know it or not. It's a place to leverage strengths that don't necessarily connect with a standard. So our wittiness and our anchors and our humor and the charisma and the leadership and the collaboration that is involved is so essential in churning out these weekly episodes. And so this is just a sampling from the whole team, and trust me, if they could have all made it here, they would have. And that was a little bit of a couple today during Wake Up, because everybody wanted to be here, and others had engagements. Dan's out there a little late, he came from rowing, but this is important. So please introduce yourself.
My name is Zay. I edit, anchor, and scriptwrite. I joined Wake Up because it's just such a great experience being able to use news progressions and come up with every weekly remark and joke to fill all the hearts and smiles of all the people across Wake Up. It's just great.
My name is Ellie. My role is part of the art team and a side anchor, and I joined just to express myself through the ECS.
My name is Piper. I'm a production assistant, and I also am a part-time field reporter, and I joined Wake Up ECS to spend that.
And I just want to pause because Dr. Chris is also very good at finding items, but I have to say, Piper's going to be a run for money. We asked her to find a snowman, and she showed up with a snowman. I don't know where she got it. I can ask questions, but she procured a snowman.
I'm Sam, I film all the Wake Ups and putting stuff together and all that kind of stuff. Been here for a while. I joined Wake Up to learn about all the new this pretty cool equipment that we get of course with it. I think it's really like
I'm Claire. I'm a scriptwriter, and I joined Wake Up with a donkey talk.
I'm Mateo, I'm the main anchor, you'll see me in a lot of the videos, and I came to Wake Up to get all the information first.
I'm Ethan, I'm part of the art team. What I do is, the art. The reason why I don't wake up is so I can show people what.
All right, and so it's one thing for us to tell you who we are and tell you what we do, but it's another thing for us to show you what we do. So we thought that we can help you all, board, by sharing your story with our larger ECS community by taking you through a mock walkthrough. I already got my round of applause for that earlier today, of a production meeting. And Wake Up full scale, Wake Up ECS production. And we're going to walk you through that process. And hopefully at the end of this, not tonight because it's late, tomorrow, hopefully we will have a beautifully packaged board feature from the Wake Up team. So we
We usually circle up, this is space not conducive to circling, so we will pretend we are in a circle, and Ellie is going to run our production meeting today. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Elsie. I have exciting news. We have a featured request from Dr. Tobias to help the ECS community get to know ECS board members and what they do.
Happen to be experts at telling the story of ECS. I think that we should start by interviewing with Dr. Tobias, since he's the board president.
Great idea. Ethan, can you do a quick portrait of Dr. Tobias?
I'm ready.
We have to remember our audience is the entire ECS community, from youngest to oldest, so we need to start with a good one. I already have some fortunes in mind.
I can give you all of the board meeting and get a quick interview with Dr. Wyatt before we reset the anchor table.
Can we get my anchor voice ready?
Let's get started. Dr. Tobias, come get my cup, please. Right over here. We've had a little chair. Bring it back in there.
Really watch.
I'm gonna be quiet though, because our cameraman will, yeah, so. He has just, Mr. McCann multiple times. Actually, the fifth isn't here, and the fifth has been buying, Tuning in to the board meeting on today. Did you visit the site? How you been?
I'm doing pretty well, thanks for having me here.
Very good to have you here. I wanted to ask you some questions about the board meeting and what you do there, and also things about ECS.
Great, what can I tell you?
I'd like to ask you, why do you care about the environment?
Because this is our only home, we've got to make sure that it's beautiful and perfect, and ECS is really doing its part to grow the next generation of students and local citizens who will help take care of our planet. And so I'm just doing what I can to help ECS.
Why do you care about ECS?
Oh, well, I happen to have two kids that have been ECS students. So my son, Sammy, used to be a student here, and my daughter Liv is a 7th grader right now.
Nice. I'd like to ask you one more question. What is the cool story you had in mind to put forward in ECS as a whole?
Oh, wow. Yeah, all kinds of really fun discussions about budget, and hiring teachers, and all kinds of things like that. But I think that the most fun I have is really getting to know fabulous and talented group of ECS board members who are all interesting and involved in different parts of the community of Pittsburgh, all with their own levels of expertise and professions. And so I get to work with really, really smart people who can help me help the school. So I think getting to know them and getting to know the staff at ECS, the administration, and just interacting with people that really truly care about the school, about the city, about the planet, and about the students here. It's a rewarding way to spend a little bit of my free time.
It's my friend Novi.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Real quick, can you get a picture of the ECS crew of all board members?
Yeah, some people, after. Ready?
I got like 5 minutes.
Get all those questions.
Oh, yeah. Okay, we're gonna keep moving. Thank you so much. That was amazing.
So Ethan is working on a portrait in real time, but because we got pushed a little, he's gonna work on it tonight and then give it to you tomorrow.
Great.
And it will be of your beautiful face back.
Wow. I can't wait. All right, well, I don't know how we're gonna top that, but maybe it will be with a discussion of some policies. So, I think we have 2 policies to consider, and just a reminder that our current plan, as we update our policies for the school, we're going to kind of going through them in small chunks. They were posted, these 2 policies in draft form were posted last week and distributed to the board for review. We're going to have a discussion of them with a plan to vote to finalize them at the next meeting.
Discussing both of those.
I think we're going to discuss both, as far as I know. So the first is the lottery policy.
Yeah, that's me.
You do need to jump
Yeah,
in.
I'm over here.
I'm going to have some comments. It's Dave Turner whenever it's
Yeah,
appropriate.
go ahead, Dave.
Okay, first of all, I apologize. I have an illness that's affecting my voice, so I hope you can hear me, and I'll speak a little slowly. As the policy is written, I would oppose it, and in particular, the issues that I have with it are, I think they're in 6.4 and 6.5, and that is the idea that the board members would receive preference in the lottery system. And my understanding from what I've heard people supporting this policy, they've said that it would be a useful way of marketing to potential board candidates. Now, I've sat on a number of interviews with board candidates, all of whom, fortunately, have joined us, who are non-parents, and there's not been any discussion of, benefits to them in the lottery process. So, as of right now, our current experiences, I don't think it's helpful the way it's been presented. But what I think is a more likely effect is that it could have the effect of angering a stakeholder group or member that we are on the basis not of like happenstance, like we already have a sibling here, or supporting our current stakeholders, that we are benefiting ourselves being largely a self-selected group, and ourselves being selected primarily based on our stature and our careers and our education and so forth. So, my fear is that somebody would say that we are not living up to our stated obligation to equity and diversity by giving ourselves preferences. And in my opinion, they would have good reason to think so. So I would encourage an amended version of this document, this policy, eliminating all references to board members.
Other discussion on that point?
I think there was discussion at one point in time why this was included, recommended for inclusion, where there's broader language that if you're an active participant in the school community and you have a track record of that, right, that you can seek preference. And I think there's been individuals that have sought that and been awarded that. They haven't been board members, but they've been active community members or active school members that may have had a student that left in 8th grade, maybe they're in high school, but then had another one come through and gotten preference. Is that a proper characterization of the prior application of the school?
So there was a developmental preference, like if you were part of the original charter, you developed part of the development of the charter, that you got a preference in the lottery, and board members did get a preference. And then in 2017, when we revised the lottery, the board felt that it should be taken out. And so we took it out, but board members prior to a certain date were given preference. So we went back and gave some of the board members that were preference before. And so we took out the development since it's been 15 years. Like at this point, if you started at the school, your kids should probably be older now or something. So I mean, it's really a discussion with you if you feel that, you know, I mean, you put a lot of time and effort into it. And like you have great experiences at ECS, you know ECS, and so we thought that, you know, it was in the lottery policy before.
And staff currently get preference.
And staff get preference, correct.
So while we are not paid staff.
Correct. Mm-hmm. And I mean, like, you can look at that as a developmental thing too. Like, I mean, they're part of the ECS mission, so are you all. So I mean, that's what you have to decide on.
Yeah, I definitely hear what you're saying, and that the thoughts have crossed my mind as well. And the comments I had mentioned, and I'd like to see that's in good standing, or a board member who has already served on X period of time before entering the lottery, to show that you're not just joining the board and for a position. Personally, my daughter was number 51 on the wait list while I was a board member, and we moved out of the city to go somewhere else because we couldn't go to ECS. And it's just the way it is. I'm still here. I'm still supporting the school because I really, really appreciate and love what's being accomplished here. But it is a lot of time to be a board member for several years, taking away time from kids and family. It would be very nice if that was a possibility. Again, caveated with good standing, and even potentially after serving on for a specific period of time to demonstrate your commitment to the school and the mission.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Megan. I like those caveats of maybe setting a time and being a member in good standing, and I definitely get what you're saying, David. And I don't want to give the appearance that we're giving an incentive that we shouldn't give, but I think, like you said, and I'll say, my kids already got an ECS, so I'm not going to gain anything from this, but this is a big commitment. I think we have like a volunteer board who are all very, very busy professionals, and they're giving a lot of their time for this, and so I don't think it's an unreasonable benefit or potential benefit to give to the board members the same way that the staff gets it. So I'm in favor of it, but I see the counter argument definitely.
So as somebody who does not have a kid, ECS, I see this as I'm in favor of keeping it in for the purposes of drawing community together. I know that one of the things that we've been trying to do with ECS is bring a broader community, or bring community together, similar to how as I've heard in the days of yore, the early days of the community was very tight community. I think right now, as we think about the piece, it's great to have members who are parents who are also talking to PCO members who are involved in our mutual stakeholders in the school. And I think all of us do care about the outcomes of the school, and to have parents on the board is actually the thing that I want. And I think we do have a minimum threshold of having parents on the board, but the way that we can actually have parents who are directly affected by the choices that we make is something that would tighten the community and also give us more points of contact with other parents. So for that reason, I actually think having board members have kids and not be lotteried out, for example, is important.
Agreed. I really want to support what you said, Megan. I think taking that into account is really important. I know I have 2 kids in already, a third that will come in, but I'll consider so this is really actively with me. But I think in terms of recruitment, it's nice. I'd also say that the benefit also would only come with someone having gone through the vetting process, not going to come, meet with the board members, there's recruitment involved, you get a sense of what the commitment would be. So it does seem to be, in some ways, a small but tangible benefit that comes along with the service. So I think I would be supportive for that reason.
I agree with that, Brendan. I think the governance process that we have is strong and, would fed out some of the, folks, maybe with that in conjunction with a provisional period, whatever that period might make sense.
What would a reasonable provisional period?
I was just gonna ask, do staff get immediate preference? Is there a provisional period whereby staff have to go through? Or is it upon hire that you get preference?
Yeah, so we went back and forth with this, but it is now, we don't want to. The thing is, if you get hired and your kid goes to another school, we might lose that opportunity of the staff member coming here. And ECS is a great place to work. So we have people that stay for a long time. So we do give preference to employees when they start. But if you start in August, you have to go until the lottery, which is February. So you're almost here for a year before that happens.
Okay.
But if you would leave before the lottery, you would lose that preference.
The
So-
initial forms, the year, it's a certain year.
So August to February is 6 months.
Yeah, so,
essentially.
yeah.
Yeah, to be clear, everybody, I understand the idea of having it be sort of a benefit included in the benefit package that we offer to employees. And I understand the idea that we wouldn't want to have kids busing all over when they share the same parents or the same house. But to me, I see it as, we say all over our website and our marketing materials that we are primarily directed in part by equity principles. And it's really my feeling that when we put our notion of a nice benefit to us in front of what students get selected, we're falling short of our obligation to that mission. That said, of course, whatever the board decides, I'll be supportive, but they seem to run counter to each other. And in my view, the student wins out over the board member, and it ought to.
Okay, so what I'm gonna suggest that we do is add a little bit of wording to this policy, if possible, under the board section, just to say that it needs to be a board member in, well, I guess we do say they're in good standing already, but maybe that they've been on the board for, I'll just say 1 year. And then what we can do is post this amended version for draft version again publicly, have it be out there for a month, and then at the next meeting we can return to this and either vote or up or down the entire policy, or we can vote to strike that wording and vote the policy in without that. Does that seem like a fair way to move forward?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely, guys.
Okay.
Thanks for considering my thoughts.
Only comment on the year period. Do we want to specifically bracket the period of time and leave that open to public comment? Or do we want to anchor ourselves to a specific period of time now? I don't feel strongly either way, but I don't want to make a.
Just to say, if you start in February and you do a year, you want to be eligible till the following school year. So I'm saying, if you do that, if you started now, if you start in February, you're not going to get in the next lottery.
Sorry, when is the lottery held each year?
February.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
okay, February.
So if you start in February, but if you start in September, then you'd be eligible for the next lottery. Do you know what I'm saying?
August, at the start of the prior school year. I mean, it's 6 months, that's half of,
So it just depends on when you start.
We could
So
say 6 months.
I think that's more reasonable.
Okay.
Especially
Because your
given-
term is only 3 years, so that's a third.
So why don't we write it as 6 months,
Okay.
and then we can,
Leave it open.
it can be amended when we vote on it too, so.
Yeah,
We're not
'cause
locked
if
in
you,
anything at this
if you
moment.
did start in February, you would be eligible for the next lottery. But if you did a year, depending on when you start, you could really not get in for 2 years.
I'm sorry, Adam, I did have one other thing that's not related to
Yes.
this facility policy I wanted to bring up, and I don't believe that it is, was a change, but it is something that caught me on. So under, section 1.3, the charter school may limit admission to a particular grade level, a targeted population composed of at-risk students, concentration, et cetera. The wording concerns me, to be honest, because of how we define at-risk within the policy, and it did seem to be the only limit that limited socioeconomic status. So I was hoping that, you know, this could be spoken to a little bit more and I could better understand it. I don't believe that's truly the intent, but it's being worded in that way. So it could just be wording semantics, but I need to speak to that sentence. Thank you.
So in 2017, when we met with PPS, PPS told us that we have to increase our diversity. And the way that we could increase our diversity is through economic diversity. And so that was the wording that, and correct me if I'm wrong, that PPS wanted us to use in our lottery policy. And so that's coming straight from our attorney and their attorney, Ira Weiss, talking about how we can define the at-risk students.
That's fine to define it. I'm more so not okay with the choice of limiting admission. It just straight up says limit admission to students that are of an economic diversity. So if the mission, which we tout, is diversity, equity, inclusion, this 5 words is in direct conflict to that. And you know, I want to be very respectful to the intent behind this, you know, because I think that maybe it's not
So are
necessarily.
you talking about 1.3?
I'm talking about 1.3. The
Yeah.
definition is further.
Yeah.
But we're saying straight up, we are limiting admission. And it is the only limit based on socioeconomic
So that's right out of charter school law. So that's what charter school law says, that a charter school may limit admissions to a
That's
particular grade
not the
level.
definition exclusively, that we are able to limit admission. I'm not gonna mess with charter school law, but I wanna make sure that that's.
So we can play with the wording there, it could be steer, you know, the original language, that was the intent, right? You're right, it's from Crystal Palmer. But if it's reading that way, you think, right?
I don't wanna be on an island though, you know, if I'm the only one that thinks that, but it does mean that way to me, that we are looking to limit folks of socioeconomic
It's gonna
status.
be that way to others. So let's, happy to head back and see if we can play with that. Align to the wording that came out of the settlement agreement with PBS, because no one stayed too far from that.
Absolutely.
I don't think it's far from being okay. But you're right, the word limit really looks like a downward push as opposed to a steering and being able to reserve the right to ask some questions of how do you build your student body.
Yes, okay.
So I think what it is saying is, like, for example, Catalyst Charter School is, their policy is that they will, an at-risk school. So they do limit admission to at-risk students, correct?
Yeah, so I think it's not limiting, it's not saying no to those students, it's saying that we could essentially say that group of students, admission this year would come from this group of students.
So you're actually
Limiting
increasing it.
Yeah,
Yes.
limiting everybody else.
It's limiting to.
Limiting to.
That's the only group that.
I think it's just a little bit unclear.
It's, I think it's a different.
That's great. I'll agree, not great.
I think that's what they're trying to say. You can, as a charter school law, you can limit, you can't say, we are an arts charter school. And so like Westinghouse Arts Academy is limiting theirs to people that wants to do art.
Study art.
So
Totally fine, just
Yeah.
please reword it, because it does, maybe, I don't wanna, again, steer from law, but it is read very, I read it very differently.
yeah.
No, I think that's fair. I think the gut reaction is probably the level of scrutiny that, like, a lot of people will read this and when they see limit, we don't want to be seen as exclusive.
Right,
Anyway.
right,
So the language of limit would just bring up the notion of exclusivity, which is not inherently out there, but.
Mm-hmm.
Folks, if you want to send I don't know if Stan and I could have access to the settlement agreement, but obviously we can look at the law and we can we can suggest a change that would clarify what's being discussed right now.
Yeah, that sounds good. So I think we're all on the same page. We just need the language to be more clear. If maybe David and Stan could just help work on the language.
Yeah, I'm happy.
I'm allowed to give you 5 tasks per meeting.
I know.
That was the first one.
Yeah.
I'll jump in with.
Great. Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy to help out too if needed. I just thank you for revisiting that.
Okay, and then let's move quickly to the second policy.
So the second policy, we had an 11th hour meeting with student services today and determined that we're going to split this out actually from to policy and procedure. And we got stuck in that conversation. So with the board's permission, we're going to push that down to 1 month.
Okay.
So we'll take that off discussion today. We'll represent it in a week or so to the board as a whole in draft format, then bring it before the board at the next meeting for then following one of the review publicly. So that's what we're going to do with this structure. So
Just another general request, as we march through this policy, it's very helpful to have standardization of when the original policy was written and that history. I think we agreed on a kind of stamp template or whatever. So just something to anchor to. Just understanding, are we reviewing something that was original under Imagine back to 07 or something that was rewritten last year? So I think just having that as a rubber stamp on each one of these would be helpful.
Okay, great. So let's move into the committee reports. So the executive committee met last week. We discussed several things. We talked about ESSER's funding is going to be expiring. We'll get into that later if necessary. We had a foundation report. We discussed that we were going to talk about enrollment trends tonight and data next month. We started to talk a little bit about the A+ schools report that came out within the past week or two, and we're going to have that as an agenda item for January. So more to come on that. We talked about policies, strategic plan we discussed briefly, getting something up on the website in January. We discussed the high school building lease, new member voting, and our new initiative to recognize positive events and groups at ECS at our board meetings, and that was why we had our guests tonight. We're going to keep doing that moving forward. Next time, Megan's going to do the interview on camera.
No, I'm kidding. I love that. Parent have included.
Okay, governance committee, Stan is out of the country, and so couldn't be here tonight. But we do have a couple of new potential board members to vote on at this meeting, and then I suspect we'll have a couple more at the next meeting. Education for school performance committee. Kristen, are you still on there?
I am, although this is going to be brief. I'm not feeling great. So a couple of things. We decided for sure that we're going to stick with the name Education Committee. So just by the way, we can take off the performance. And if anyone has questions about that, we can talk about them. But in this month's meeting, I can turn it over to Rohit for some of the data work that we're going to do. But we talked about doing board education, of course, in terms of the enrollment. This was showing up in a few places, but it was one we talked about as well. And then just ways that we want to explore, understanding more about where our students are coming from and going and things along those lines. And then for next month, we started discussions of what the next board education on the education side could potentially be, with a focus most likely on something related to test scores that were just released and those types of things. Rohit, if you have anything to add, go for it.
I think that's pretty much it. I think what I'll be doing from a data perspective is, especially with the release of the new census data that came out last week, and then tying that together with trends, so we get an external view of kind of neighborhoods and where we're drawing enrollment from, where interesting, and and merging a lot of that data with the external data, and also doing some cuts on grades and starting to just get a sense of, as from a strategic planning perspective, just knowing what our student body and where our student body actually is and where there's demand, supply, and things like that. So it's just, I'm hoping this is going to be an ongoing conversation, and there'll be report outs to the board over time. This is just a first step. So thankfully, Christine's already done a lot of work. I couldn't really tell. So.
Okay, thank you. Finance and facilities.
Yeah, we met a couple weeks ago, a few items to address. So the high school is still moving forward. There's just always so many moving parts to assess. It's a big deal. You know, I may not be on the board when it happens, but I will be at that ribbon cutting. So please make sure to extend that invitation because it's a fascinating conversation and a fascinating process. As part of that, we are looking to bring on board the construction management team, interviewing for that, which is a very critical step. From a finance perspective, you mentioned ESSER funding. I mean, across many industries, pandemic funding winding down is a reality. So looking for different ways to fill those gaps across really all industries is experiencing that receive different types of funding to support us during those times. And thank you, for always leading us in the finance world this year. And it's not the end of the fiscal year, but it is the end of the year. So thank you for what you've done thus far. So I think that's it. And is there anything else we should?
We cleared the audit.
Clear the audit, November, yes.
I want to celebrate that.
Yes, absolutely. Just a minor thing, but no. It's fantastic. Thank you.
I've learned more about construction than
I
I
never
never
thought.
thought I would possibly have.
Yeah.
Okay, CEO succession team, Nicole.
Yeah, a couple things, and I know that Dave and I have been going back and forth this evening. He's not feeling well. He's my wonderful sidekick here. Okay, so just a couple of things. The team has come together. We have representatives from the union, from the admin team, from HR, Lisa Elliott, who I know is not here this evening either, is a class board chair. Dave,
ECS.
who's here, and Kristen. So Kristen is on the senior the operational side. And we've met 6 times. Did a 2-hour retreat to kind of help people get aligned. These are a lot of folks that haven't been through the whole process of what ECS has been through and what that means for leadership. We have also created and put the RFP out over the last 7 days. We have vetted all of those, and later on in the executive session, we'll give you a full report of what those offerings are and who we might want to, as the team recommends, the top 3 to you. Finally, I will say there's I don't know if I can cast, but
It's cafe at the very end, Nicole.
there's an organizational statement that Dave.
You want me to explain that, Nicole?
Yes, can you? You have to use your
Okay, yeah.
voice, Dave.
Sure. I just want to say 2 things to the whole group. One is that I just want you to know that the group of people I've been working with are outstanding. This group has put their head down, come up with a system that weeds out problems, that asks for practical examples. I mean, this is a serious interviewing committee that's developed, and I wanted to make sure John and Amanda hear that too. The professional staffers who've worked on this have been just tremendous, and I'm impressed, seriously impressed, having been on a lot of committees in a lot of areas. So that's part 1. Part 2 is Stan and I were communicating back and forth, and I was able to jump on the executive committee. Stan is of the opinion, and I don't disagree, that we may actually need to, since the board is authorizing another committee to do work that is the responsibility of the board, we may ultimately need to have a resolution that we can prepare for next meeting. But in the meantime, I did put together just sort of a statement of what we're doing so that the board is aware of it. If the board has any questions, they can be asked in the meantime. And so nobody is surprised one way or the other about what the authority was granted to this committee, and that the committee is doing exactly what the board wants. So I'll circulate that over the course of the next month, and hopefully we can get some consensus on that.
Thanks, Dave. Any questions?
We'll have one more executive session on that too. Okay, ECSFT representative.
We would first of all, ECSFT would like to thank the home office and the board for our holiday. We appreciate your thoughtfulness. As a personal statement, I will be wearing my scarf every day until the break, which is only 2 days, but it goes with everything out, so I have to wear it. We have 2 items for the board's consideration. Our first item, the K-5 MTSS positions were created as a 3-year position with ESS ERS funding. The hope over the past 30 years has been to find a way to preserve these roles as permanent positions. As budget season is upon us, we would like to formally advocate for the MTSS position to become permanent. The MTSS model supports our Tier 2 and Tier 3 students who need extra support, and without them, we would worry about the impact it will have on learning outcomes for those students. Additionally, we would like to restructure our need time model, as teachers absorbing the work of these teachers will be a big undertaking. We are hopeful that we can work with the office and the board to find a way to preserve these positions. The second one, we are curious on the board's recommendations regarding the CDC guidelines for COVID quarantines. Currently, staff are required to follow the guidelines of 5 days out of the building and 5 days masked. We're wondering, does this match current practice? Many staff are now out of days as illnesses have been wreaking havoc on their buildings, and we look forward to any guidance we have. We hope you have a restful break, and look forward to meeting with you again in January.
Thank you. So just on those 2 points, the first one is the positions. I would just ask ECSFT to work with the home office to put some of this in writing, and we can put a dollar amount behind that request, and then the board can consider it more completely in the next couple months. So hopefully you guys can work together on that. And then just regarding that other point, I can say that we have had some recent behind-the-scenes discussions with our health team, myself, Sapna Parker, who's our school physician and former board member, and Mandy, around COVID and other respiratory illnesses. So we are going to be due for an update of our health and safety plan in the next month, I think. So we're going to need to look at that more closely. I did point out to them that actually UPMC, effective today, went back to mandatory masking for all patients and visitors and staff. And that's not really because of COVID, but because of high rates of flu and RSV in the community. And I can tell you that at work today, I saw several patients with all of those things. So I'm not advocating it yet that we go back to masking here, but it's out there. People are getting very sick right now, so it's something that we need to think about a lot soon. Okay, our PCO representative.
Hi, I'm Lou. I sit on the PCO steering committee. I'm not the designated representative for the board, but we're actively seeking a replacement for Tia, so I'm here tonight. We actually felt like we do a lot as a PCO, but we don't always have a lot of visibility within even like our own parent community. So we decided to package like a midpoint, end of fall summary of everything that we've done, and that can be found actually on pcs.org/PCO website. It's also on Instagram, it's shared in our newsletter. But the main thing that I think folks don't have a ton of visibility in are things that happen a little more behind the scenes with like mini grants that were awarded. We had 2 mini grant sessions, one in September, one in November. The full list of what we were able to award is listed there, as well as 4 of our fundraisers, our community events, which we did 4 in the fall. Some of the community support that we do with respect to collecting uniforms, and we'll be distributing those. helping to support kind of Thanksgiving meals for people that really need. And then the staff appreciation, which we've really ramped up a lot this year with like monthly gestures of staff appreciation, not just the 2 collections that we do on spring. We did get a lot of community engagement and the staff appreciation. I think we raised like $13,500 to be able to redistribute to all staff. And that's really, I think, a testament, especially at this time of year where people are being asked like all the time to give money, how much the community like really appreciates the ECS staff. So that's kind of the recap. If you want the details, feel free to go to the website to take a look at those. We have been seeing more community or board members at our community events. Our last PCO meeting, Stan actually attended. We're going to be at the next one in January. So yes, we did a plates and pints event at Trace Brewery, which was really fun.
I like the poster again.
We got that photo right from the board. So yeah.
Dr. Wise, can I say from the ECS staff, we 100% appreciate the gift that was given to each and every member, and we really appreciate the thoughtfulness of making sure that everyone's included in that list. That thoughtfulness right now is very much appreciated. I'm sure our agents can say the same, but thank you so much for all that. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you so much, and definitely looking forward to an ongoing close and collaborative relationship with the PCO and the board. Okay, another exciting piece of business. We have 2 new board members to vote on. And I think I guess probably just have to do these separately. So I'll read the first resolution. Resolution 2023-12-2108, be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of the school that the board membership of Nick Markovic be approved. Nick, you want to give everyone away? Okay. This is your last chance to. Okay. Okay. All right. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes.
Welcome, Nick.
Okay, resolution 2023-12-2109, be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of the school that the board membership of Maddie Nasita be approved. Okay, Maddie, you still in? Okay. All right.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, congratulations, Maddie. Another exciting piece of news, Stan did a lot of research and I think has determined that legally we don't really need a notary to have people sign the board oath, and that he thinks I can swear in the new board members and make it legal. So I think we'll just do that next month. I'll swear you guys in, but Nick and Maddie, if you want to move down to the big kids table.
We should have music.
Yeah. I think we should all have our entrance song. Yeah.
Walk-up music. Come on.
Okay, any other new business before we get to executive session? Okay, all right, can I get a motion to go to executive session? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, all right, I want to thank our guests for coming, and we'll see you guys next time.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is crazy.